There goes Davis. Oh my gosh! Davis is going to run it all the way
Here
back.
Here comes pressure. Bortles sees it coming. Looking for Wharton in the end zone. Wharton behind the defense. Oh! Are you kidding?
Family-friendly spring game. Lots of autographs being signed by the players for the fans, and the new uniforms unveiled. 4 different looks, including orange on white and white on green, and they're looking sharp. And on the field, it's Stacy Coley and the Canes, ready to go. Spring game 2014. You're watching the ACC on ESPN. Today, it's the University of Miami 2014 spring game, and everybody is in a good mood. The cheerleaders are ready to go, and so are the fans. Some are getting dunked. We're at Sun Life Stadium on a glorious spring afternoon. Temperature 79 degrees, a slight ocean breeze, clear skies. It is a beautiful afternoon for spring football. Hello everybody and welcome to our broadcast booth. I'm Joe Zagacki alongside former University of Miami center and team captain Don Bailey Jr. It is the spring game, the culmination of spring practice for the University of Miami. Today we're going to see some very good one-on-one matchups, 7-on-7, and the defense will go up against the offense. But Don, the key storyline for Miami here at the end of the spring is the play at quarterback. Ryan Williams was injured, and now it's up to Kevin Olson and Gray Crow.
It's up to both of them to challenge to who's going to be the starter on Labor Day night against the University of Louisville for Miami. Olson comes in as a highly recruited player out of New Jersey. Both of his brothers played at a competitive level in college football, and Greg, of course, is in the National Football League as we speak. Gray Crow is going to have an opportunity to pick up reps, so the challenge begins right now on who's going to lead the University of Miami at the quarterback spot.
And of course, on the other side of the ball, the Canes got some good news this year. Denzel Perryman has come back for his senior year. He'll anchor the defense. The third member of our crew from the sidelines is Josh Darrow. Josh?
Well, after thinking it over and discussing it with the coaching staff and reviewing the feedback from the NFL, Denzel Perryman decided to return to the University of Miami for his senior year, in part to improve his draft status, in part to get his degree from the University of Miami. Denzel Perryman will anchor the middle of Mark D'Onofrio's defense. In fact, the linebacker position group has got Mark D'Onofrio very excited during this spring, in part because of some youngsters like Jermaine Grace and Raphael Kirby, early enrollees Darian Owens and Juwan Young, but most importantly, it's Denzel Perryman back to anchor this defense. Joe?
Canes are coming through the smoke. It's spring game 2014 right here on ESPN. We're back at Sun Life Stadium, the ACC on ESPN, the University of Miami spring game. We'll take a look at how this thing is going to be scored for the 2014 spring game, a unique scoring system set up by Coach Golden and his staff, because we're going to have some one-on-one drills. Last Cane standing. How the offense can score: they get 1 point for a first down, 3 points for a field goal, and of course 6 points for a touchdown. Now the defense can score by getting a stop. They get bonus points for a fourth down stop. They get a three-pointer on a 3-and-out, and of course if they get a turnover, they get 6 points and double bonus for a defensive touchdown. They'll get 10 points for the defensive touchdown. They had 4 of those last year, 4 defensive touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and 2 fumble recoveries. Head coach Al Golden getting ready for his 4th season at the University of Miami, and 11-4 in his last 15 games as the head coach. And this vision for the spring game, he had a lot to do with it because he wanted to have the fans involved. He wanted it to be friendly and interactive, and it is. And the Canes have had a good spring. The defense will be in white. The offense will be in orange. The quarterbacks will be in smoke color. That's Gray Crow right there. He'll get an opportunity with the injury to Ryan Williams. We're going to see some of these one-on-one drills that are underway right now, Don Bailey Jr. And this is something that Al Golden has put together. He wants these guys to have a lot of pride in winning these matchups. It's called Last Cane Standing.
Al Golden also wants to make sure that every drill that Miami does, that there is a high level of competition, not only as a unit, but as an individual. And as you can see right now, there is a high level of competition. They have gone through and weeded out the players, and they have been able to climb the ranks, and today is the finals here at the stadium.
There's Herb Waters. Herb Waters wins his matchup. Herb Waters had himself a good season last year. He has 38 career catches. Herb Waters had 9 catches in the Duke game last season for 116 yards, but was injured at the end of the year. Jethro Franklin talking with Earl Moore, defensive lineman Earl Moore. Some of those battles in the trenches, as we see right here, those are fierce and tenacious.
That they are, Joe. Both these fronts, the offense and defensive line, are used to going one-on-one. It's a part of every single practice, almost every single day. So they have each other figured out. But more importantly, you've got to key the snap count if you're on the defense, and offensively on the line, it's going to determine how well you do by where you place your hands.
There's a long one to Rashawn Scott, and he hauls it in. Rashawn Scott hauls that one in over Cornelder. All right, Kevin Olson from Wayne, New Jersey. Very good size, 6'3", 210 pounds. Redshirted a year ago. ESPN had him as the 4th best quarterback coming out of high school.
And it was a good decision to rank him that high, Joe. He's got the height, he's got the mobility that you need, even though he was labeled as a pocket passer. The thing that impresses me most about him is the fact that he has touch. He can make all the throws, but he has great ball placement and seems to have a nice understanding of the offense.
He's got a very good arm. Of course, he's the son of a coach. His dad coached him in high school. And I always like those guys who are coached by their fathers. So Kevin Olson right now, the #1 quarterback for Miami. He'll be getting some competition from Gray Crow, who is from Clearwater. Gray Crow last year, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, was 6 for 8. Did redshirt in 2012. His senior year in high school, he threw for over 1,600 yards.
That he did, and the key component to those yards were the fact that he had 20 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions, better than 3-to-1 ratio. And another thing that I find important out of that position is he was the captain of his football team. So you have that leadership intangible as well with Gray Crow.
He's been here, he's been in the system, he's been unselfish, he's been a good leader. He's a 3-time district champion in his high school at Clearwater. And he's been in the system, as I mentioned. He'll have an opportunity, as will the other quarterbacks coming in. Brad Kaya will be coming in along with Malik Rozier. Here's Gus Edwards getting away from Alex Figueroa, and big Gus Edwards has had a good spring.
That he has, and he needs to. He needs to provide the relief for Duke Johnson and Joseph Yearby. Yearby, the incoming freshman out of Central. But when you look at Gus Edwards, you see the size and you see the power, and that's something Miami has not had at that position in the last few years.
He had 38 yards in the bowl game against Louisville. He scored 5 touchdowns last year, ran for 338 yards. He can give Miami that change of pace player behind the 2 running backs that you just mentioned. A big back, a physical back that can wear the defense down. And Gus has had a good spring.
Continues to get bigger, continues to get stronger, but more importantly, he's gaining some understanding of this offense. They're really not concerned what he does with the football, it's what he does without it. How is he as a receiver, and how does he handle blitz pickup?
As you mentioned, nearly 5 or over 5 yards a carry last season. Just a shade under 50 yards per game. But he'll get more of a look this season without question. And this spring has been good for him to get all of the reps. Now we look out on the perimeter. Tracy Howard and Stacy Coley, they battled each other in high school. They battled each other every day in practice. 2 high-level players. Both guys can be difference makers on both sides of the ball.
Blue chip players, both of them from South Florida. Both of them understand that they have speed and that they how to play this game at the right tempo. When you talk about Coley, he burst onto the scene, got national recognition last year. He scored 4 different ways, put up huge all-purpose yards numbers, and will be a huge impact for Miami on the offensive side of the football.
Yeah, he scored 10 touchdowns. The only guy, as you mentioned, Don, scored with a pass reception, scored via the handoff, punt return, and kickoff return. A tremendous year, 33 catches, 591 yards, 10 touchdowns for Stacy Coley, and they've used him in a variety of ways this spring, and I think he is poised to have a big fall for the Canes, especially when they start things off against Louisville. And he's taken on a leadership role. Here's Herb Waters. He's matched up now, and Herb Waters going up against Larry Hope. Herb Waters has great speed on the outside. Nice pass to Herb Waters, and he hauls it in over his shoulder down the sideline. And that's good to see Herb Waters, with 5 touchdowns a year ago, missed the last 2 games because of injuries, but he's another explosive player.
He had a huge day against Duke, had 9 receptions for 116 yards and 2 touchdowns, and they need Herb Waters to compete. He's a long receiver, has excellent hands, he brings height to that position, but more importantly, he brings some size as well. James Coley, Miami's offensive coordinator, counts on his receivers to block, and with the size and strength that Waters brings to the equation, he helps the running game as well.
You mentioned that Duke game earlier where he had 9 catches for 116 yards. He's capable of that kind of game, and another guy that can also carry the ball for you via the reverse or the handoff or the bubble screen. So Miami has a lot of talent, a lot of weapons on the perimeter.
That they do, and they will need them. We talked about in the open about the youth at the quarterback and the inexperience at the quarterback position. To fill that gap, you're going to count on your running game and the experience at the wide receiver spot.
There's a backup quarterback now. Everybody getting involved in the one-on-one action. Coach Golden wanted every player to at least get a rep or 2. Isaac Hosa's redshirt freshman. They came in from Calvary Christian. They played great football, great high school football all over Dade and Broward County. Coach Golden, finally with the shackles off, able to put his team together. We saw a great recruiting class this year, and some guys are here early. James Coley, Miami's offensive coordinator, and last year, Miami's offense averaged 425 yards a game, 265 yards through the air. They were an explosive offense. He wants them to be explosive this year, but he's also throwing in some more formations. He wants them to possess the ball a little bit more.
That he does. He wants to work on the time of possession. Miami only held the football 25 minutes and 59 seconds per game last year. They'd like to increase that by at least 5 to 7 minutes. When you look at the total numbers of offense, averaging 425 yards per game, it was good enough to be 48th in the country. But let's also remember that they lost Dorsett, they lost Duke Johnson, and that certainly hurt the yardage numbers for the offensive side of the football.
Canes would like to be better. Canes would like to be better in the red zone. We'll talk about that a little bit more as we continue on. It's the spring game here, Unite 14. Spring game for the University of Miami at Sun Life Stadium will continue right here on ESPN. We're at the University of Miami spring game where the offense won the one-on-one portion by a score of 20-16. We're now moving to the 7-on-7. That'll be the orange, the offense against the white 7-on-7. And Kevin Olson will go up against Denzel Perryman and the Hurricanes defense. Kevin Olson ready to go with Alex Gall over the ball, and Gus Edwards in the backfield with him. 7-on-7. First play for Kevin Olson. He's got Malcolm Lewis at the 45-yard line, and he's covered by Artie Burns and Dallas Crawford. And Dallas Crawford, an unselfish player, has had himself a very good spring.
Joe, I think he has found a home in the safety position. Crawford broke onto the scene last year, filled in admirably for Duke Johnson, came up with a big game against North Carolina where he rushed for over 130 yards, but I think he likes hitting people more than carrying the football.
Artie Burns had a great track season. Artie ran the 60-meter hurdles in 7.68 seconds. Here's Olson on a first down. The throw again. Olson across the middle has Malcolm Lewis again inside the 40-yard line. Denzel Perryman wraps him up, and Malcolm Lewis is healthy, and Malcolm Lewis is playing more confident. 15 career catches, but he looks much better this spring.
Malcolm Lewis in 2012 had that severe ankle injury against Georgia Tech. Last year played in 10 games, was able to get a couple starts in, but he looks like he is finding his stride and has got over that injury.
Kevin Olson is connected on his first 2 passes. Redshirt freshman, 7-on-7. Behind his protection, down the middle, juggled and caught by Malcolm Lewis, and Malcolm Lewis will take it into the end zone. Olson to Malcolm Lewis, and that was the connection on the first 7-on-7. They're going to say that he was down at the 18-yard line. So the offense has put up 40 points so far against the defense, and they mark the ball at the 18.
You're always looking for chemistry between the quarterback and the receiver, and now it appears that Kevin Olson has found that chemistry that he's looking for with Malcolm Lewis. Malcolm making eye contact with the quarterback, uses both hands to haul in the pass.
Now from the 18-yard line, Olson looking near sideline, back shoulder throw for Herb Waters, defended by Artie Burns. That's a good matchup there. A little bit short. Now Miami last year in the red zone, they scored 80% of the time. They scored touchdowns 60% of the time. The good news is they scored 33 red zone touchdowns, 48th in the nation, but they would like to improve on that 60% number. There's Artie Burns, and Artie's come on strong at the end of spring here at corner after coming back from track. On the other corner is Tracy Howard, and Miami has two receivers over there against Howard, and now Olson to throw again. Underneath and caught. Philip Dorsett wrapped up by Burns at the 10-yard line.
Credit Olson for finding the open receiver. Takes the easy throw, allows the fast guys to pick up the big yards. Dorsett in a crossing route does a nice job locating the football and then turns it upfield immediately.
Philip 85 career catches. Miami has a stack here to the right side, which was very productive for them last year. Very tough for the defense to guard. Olson, a little bit of pressure. Throws this one away back of the end zone for Herb Waters, and Artie Burns was back there with the coverage. Boy, Artie looks like he got a lot bigger here since his freshman year. He's long and he's tough, so Kevin Olson takes the Hurricanes down inside the red zone. So it's now a 34-16 score. 7-on-7. We back it up to the 38-yard line. Here comes Gray Crow. Gray Crow will get an opportunity now. Stanish Dobard, the redshirt freshman tight end, is in there, and he's had a nice camp. Damari Jones will get some reps here as well. Tough snap for Crow to handle. Now a tough pass in traffic for Rashawn Scott.
Joe, you can't underestimate the importance of that center quarterback exchange, especially in the shotgun. It's got to be, the ball's got to be placed right between the numbers so the quarterback doesn't have to take his eyes off the secondary. Every time that you have to bobble around for a snap, it truly hurts the quarterback in making his decision.
Crow last year was 6 for 6 against Savannah State. That's where he threw his touchdown from the shotgun this time. Well protected, 7-on-7, and across the middle, past the 50-yard line. That's Stanish Dobard, the big redshirt, or rather sophomore tight end from New Orleans, 4-star player. He could really help the team this season. Brought down by Alex Figueroa. And boy, Don, if we had a body like Alex Figueroa, we'd be in good shape.
We'd still be in the National Football League. You look at him and his ability to not only help Miami catching the football, he flashes his number to the quarterback, gives him a big target, but he's going to be very, very, very helpful in the running game as well.
Throw for his check down. DeAndre Johnson out of the backfield, a little bit too high for him. One of the guys that is not participating today, but is on his way back, and he is ahead of the curve, is running back Duke Johnson. And Duke Johnson, after injuring his right ankle against Florida State in November, has already made it back to participate in spring football. A very impressive comeback by a very impressive and talented young man. Duke Johnson had 920 yards last year before getting injured against Florida State. Let's go downstairs now. Josh Sherrill with Duke Johnson.
All right, we're here with Duke Johnson, and you're in uniform. You're not playing yet, but how you feeling first and foremost?
I feel great. Just to be out here with the team and be out here with the guys and enjoying this lovely day with the fans and everything Coach Golden have done for the fans and ourselves with the new reveal of the jerseys. It's just a great day.
So what'd you think of the jerseys?
Oh, I love the jerseys. You see my reaction, big reaction. I think the jerseys are amazing. I think it's just a new identity of the 2014 Canes.
Now, I don't know if everybody knows, you got a little viral video of you with your little shake dance. What are we calling that?
The original name is the Bernie. Yeah, just a dance that caught me in the moment.
All right, now let's talk about how you're recuperating. How do you feel, and what was the spring like? You're not accustomed to being on the sideline. How was it being on the sideline, and what did you take away from it?
It was tough being on the sideline, but at the same time, I was in helping my team, coaching up the running backs, coaching up younger guys, and helping my team any way I could.
Now, obviously, the offense suffered an injury with Ryan Williams, a tough injury, and Kevin Olson now playing here with the number ones. You've been around Ryan. You guys have both been out. How's he been?
Ryan's been great. Positive attitude, just ready to get back rehab and get back to the team.
All right, Duke, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Joe, back to you.
Okay, Josh, thank you very much. He had 7 games of over 200 all-purpose yards. That was a big blow when Miami lost him. 174 all-purpose yards per game.
Well, Joe, the thing that I saw, especially in the Florida State game prior to his injury, was how hard he was running, the level that he was running at as far as on the physical side. You don't think a guy that's 5'9", 195 pounds would run physically. He was in the Florida State game. I think he had hit a new level, and then unfortunately, he got injured, but it looks like he's gained that weight. He is as confident as always. Now you just have to hope that he can get conditioned to the point where he was when he had that injury.
Great throw there for Herb Waters, could not hold on to it. Going across the middle. So the defense gets a point. The offense right now in front 37-17 as we play 7-on-7. And now Kevin Olson will get it. And the orchestrator of the spring has put the ball at the 37-yard line for Kevin Olson. So Kevin Olson taking over for Ryan Williams. Ryan Williams transferred in from Memphis. Don was having a good spring, non-contact injury in a scrimmage, and really was taking ownership of the offense.
That he was, Joe, and it's heartbreaking to lose Ryan Williams. He is a guy that started as a true freshman, played in 10 games for Memphis, comes to the University of Miami, is able to get tutored by Jed Fish for a couple years. Jed now in Jacksonville as an offensive coordinator, spends a year behind Ja'Cory Harris, gets tutored by him as well, takes all the trips, gets limited reps in ball games, but plays that second team role for the last 2 years where he's getting plenty of reps, and he had spent time in the test tube, and now it was time for him to explode. And unfortunately, just a week ago, he has a non-contact injury, tears his ACL, and now we're just counting the days until he can return.
He was really working hard in the film room, on the field. Kevin Olson connecting with Malcolm Lewis again, going up the ladder. There's no doubt Kevin Olson has an arm. Sometimes doesn't always gather his feet, I think, but he's got the arm to throw the football.
That he does, and that's why he was rated so highly by ESPN coming out of high school. But more importantly, he's got to continue to get a grasp of the whole offense. I think he's got to understand his job, then he has to understand what the offense is supposed to do, and then he can spend some time focusing on the defense. But he's got to make sure that his mechanics are in place so he can complete all the passes to the right color jersey.
There's an interception over the middle to Dallas Crawford. And Dallas Crawford making that switch from offense to defense. And that's what he did when he was in high school. He played safety. He led the state of Florida in interceptions his junior year. He had 9. He returned 4 for touchdowns, and Olson there, wild high.
Wild high is right. You've got to make sure that you're zoned in on the proper receiver and don't make the errant throw. You've got to make sure that you constantly are focused on your receiver.
This is what Miami did well last year, and what they've done well with Al Golden. Each year, they've improved their takeaways. Last year, they had 27 takeaways. That was 18th in the nation. That's a strong statement, and that's the way to continue to build a playmaking defense.
That it is, and when you have a secondary that's returning, Tracy Howard, who led this team in interceptions, he had 4 on the season. Artie Burns will be greatly improved. He's a young man that did participate as a true freshman, but they are certainly high on Jamal Carter and Deion Bush, who they think will be the healthiest that he has been in the last year.
2 areas where Miami got better on defense for Al Golden last year: takeaways and sacks. They were able to come up with a lot of sacks last year, 29, that was 41st. As Brendan Carroll worked from the sidelines for the Miami offense, and 27 takeaways, 18th in the nation, 18 interceptions. 18 interceptions were big. Here's a pass in the flat that's knocked away. And that's Corn Elder, who was going to play basketball. And Corn Elder, they put him in the secondary last year. He's a very talented player.
That he is, Joe. When you're able to take the number 33 running back in the nation and number 8 athlete in the nation coming out of high school, a guy that really, there was a position of need at the running back spot, and you said, hey, we're going to plant you at corner, we're going to school you, and we're going to put you in a position to excel at this spot, and Corn Elder has adapted quite well.
There's Michael Welch completing a pass underneath to DeAndre Johnson, who gets across midfield and into the white territory at the 45-yard line. Over there to helped secure him was Jawan Young as Tracy Howard looks on. Tracy Howard, part of that crew of kleptomaniacs last year in the secondary that came up with those interceptions, 18 interceptions. Tracy led the way with 4 interceptions for Miami last season.
What was nice between the sacks and the interception is it came through an entire assortment of the defense. It didn't matter if it was Tyreek McCord getting a sack or whether it was Quan Muhammad, Anthony Chickillo. They surrounded the quarterback and played defense, team defense many times when they came up with those takeaways or sacks.
I'd like to continue that trend of creating the takeaways and the sacks and disrupting things by the defense. So now we're into the depth chart here on this drive. Isaac Poza is the quarterback. Calvary Christian. Isaac with a little bit of time. Rifles one out there. Incomplete at about the 30-yard line. Knocked away a diving play by Larry Hope from American High School. Larry was a 3-star player. Involved in a couple of games. He's battled some injuries. And really good kid. Has a chance, but he's battled some injuries. And if he can get through the injury bug, he's got a chance to help Miami on the corner. Now the ball at the defense 40-yard line. 7-on-7. Nice long pass down the sideline. That is incomplete. Overshot his man. Stephen Sweeney.
Got Sonny Odogwu in the ball game for Miami at the right tackle spot. An interesting story. 6'8", 324 pounds. Fortunately for Sonny, he was able to be redshirted last year. They're going to count on him not only this year but in the future.
All right, so right now the offense leads the defense at 7-on-7, 39-24. More from Sun Life on ESPN coming up. We are back at Sun Life Stadium for the University of Miami spring game. The offense won the one-on-one matchup 20-16. They also won the 7-on-7 19-8. And now we're going to move into offense against the defense 11-on-11. So we'll get another look at what is considered the first team offense and the first team defense. Beautiful, beautiful day at Sun Life Stadium for this spring game. Denzel Perriman will anchor the Hurricanes defense this year, middle linebacker for Al Golden. Denzel last year led the team in tackles. Here is Kevin Olson. From the shotgun on first down. Lets one fly down the sideline for Philip Dorsett. Incomplete, well covered by Artie Burns.
Two of the fastest guys on the Miami roster, Dorsett and Burns. When you look at what Burns does and how he defends Dorsett on the play, he just holds his position, keeps his body between himself and the ball. No catch, second down.
Not too many people are going to outrun Artie Burns. Alex Gall is the center. McDermott, of course, has missed the spring because of an injury. On a second down play, it's Gus Edwards over the right side, shedding a tackler or two. Tracy Howard comes up and makes a play on big Gus Edwards.
Standish Dobard, the tight end. Made a heck of a block there, Joe.
Hurricanes can get some power from their tight ends. Gus Edwards gives them a nice changeup in the backfield. 338 rushing yards last year. His best game was against Pittsburgh, where he ran for 64 yards and 11 carries. This would be a third down play for Kevin Olson. Miami was 35% a year ago on third downs. And he fires this one. People on the sidelines. Fort Coley off his fingertips. And Artie Burns had the coverage. A bang-bang play along the sidelines and a good matchup there. Coley and Burns going at it along the sideline.
As you see, the quarterback takes the snap. He sets his feet and gets rid of the ball immediately. Burns once again holding his position and does not allow Coley to run away and make the catch. Twice they have gone after Artie Burns.
Artie might be saying, hey, I wasn't here for a couple of weeks because of track, but you can't outrun me. Second team offense will come on. We're going to hear from Josh Darrow here momentarily. All right, let's go downstairs now. Josh Terrell with University of Miami Athletic Director Blake James. Josh?
We're here with Blake James, Athletic Director for the University of Miami. Blake, first of all, how's the Unite 14? Great event. How do you see it so far?
I think it's a great day. Obviously, we have the best weather in the country, and it's exemplified here today with a wonderful April day, and it's just been a wonderful event so far. So very excited about Unite 14, and obviously college football season I think gets everyone excited.
Always a lot of projects on your desk, I'm sure, but one of the big ones that everyone was excited about today was the unveiling of the new uniforms. Now, I'm sure you had a sneak peek, but nonetheless, how do you like what you got?
You know what, we really love it. You know, when the Nike designers brought it to Coach Golden and myself, it's been probably 4 or 5 months ago now, and showed us what they'd come up with. Al and my reactions are probably similar to what I think everyone saw with the team's reaction today. And you know, we just thought it was something where it enhanced the U. I've always said we have the most recognized mark in all of college athletics, and so I told Nike right from the start that we didn't want to change the U, but beyond that, I wanted to see whatever they could do to really put us cutting edge. You know, when you look at 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, you want to be out in front. The U has a tradition and the swag nationally that we want. We wanted to modernize it. I think, you know, our wonderful partner Nike did a great job in doing that. We're really excited.
Well, you opened the Schwartz Center. That was a big deal this past season. Your next project, other fundraising for the football team, which includes laying down some new turf at the practice facility.
Yeah, you know, as I said last year, Josh, we opened up the Schwartz Center. The Schwartz Center was a tremendous next step for our program. With that said, it wasn't the final step, and we needed to continue to do things to invest in our program. And so just this week, we broke ground on the new infill surface. We're going to go with field turf. We feel that was the right fit for us. We'll have a new field turf type practice field out there. We're also going to redo the drainage on our other 2 fields. But as exciting, I think, and one that maybe hasn't gotten as much notoriety yet, is we're going to have a brand new student athletic dining complex. I think when you look nationally, you want to be able to have that training table option for your team. And for us to be our very best, we needed that. And due to the great support of our fans, our university, we're going to have a student athletic dining complex open this September, and that's a real win for our program, as are the fields, as is the Schwartz Center. But again, as I tell our fans, there's always going to be something new, so next year I'll have something else for them.
All right, Blake, thanks for the time and a great day here at Sun Life Stadium.
It's a great day. Appreciate ESPN's great coverage.
All right, Joe, we'll head up back to the booth.
Okay, Josh, thank you very much. While you're doing the interview, now there's Juwan Blue, who's come on strong here the last couple of weeks, but Walter Tucker had the run of the day so far, and a big collision with Jamal Carter. That was earlier. About this kid, Juwan Blue, and he is broken out of his nap.
Well, Juwan Blue, Joe, comes to the University of Miami. He's a sophomore, only played in 2 games last year, only was able to log 1 tackle, redshirted in 12, but they listed him as one of the biggest surprises of the spring. He's strong, he's powerful, but he reacts to the football extremely well.
DeAndre Johnson on the carry, gets inside the 25-yard line. Tom Ventris out of the secondary, helping out on the tackle. DeAndre Johnson is from Pace High School. Trent Harris has entered the game for Miami for the defense. He's a freshman, he's a pass rusher. See what he has to offer. Jelani Hamilton is in there, so is Kamalu and Muhammad. So you have Trent Harris and Muhammad as pass rushers in there on this play. Miami runs it. The orange team runs it. DeAndre Johnson powering his way inside the 20-yard line. Down to about the 19 behind Sonny Adogwu, who you mentioned earlier.
DeAndre Johnson listed as a walk-on, came out of Pace High School and had a scholarship at Iowa, where he played 4 games as a freshman and then has transferred, went through the junior college route, and then has come back to the University of Miami, and he's fighting for some playing time as well.
Ray Crow piloting this drive for the University of Miami. And now we've got our first penalty of the scrimmage. Canes have had some interesting defensive combinations. Muhammad and Chicolo on the same side on this play. Also in the game is Calvin Hurtalu.
I think he's going to be a big help for the University of Miami. Hurtalu, a junior college transfer, still adjusting to the heat here in South Florida. And of course, trying to get his body weight at the right number to where he can chase the play, as long as give Miami 30 or 40 snaps a ball game.
Ray Crow goes under center. 2 receivers to his left. And will put it in the air on a bootleg. Rolling left side for Damari Jones, too high, and Damari Jones covered on the near side by Corn Elder.
Grayco, as we talked about, a redshirt sophomore. Well, he got to get in 2 games last year for Miami. Did throw a touchdown and 1 interception.
Offense has compiled 42 points. For them to get a first down here and more points, they have to get the ball inside the 10-yard line of the defense. And now another flag on the near side. Miami was much better last year, especially at the end of the year in terms of penalties. They were penalized 44 yards a game, 71 penalties during the course of the season. But I would say over the last 3 or 4 games there in November, they were much, much better in the penalty department.
Well, that's an area that Coach Al Golden has worked on since the day he arrived on the campus at the University of Miami. Each year, statistically, they have improved in that category, and he would like to get that number down even lower.
More wide receiver set for Gray Crow. Throws underneath and nearly intercepted by Jermaine Grace. That would have been a touchdown for Jermaine Grace had he held on to it. Actually only go one way, but Jermaine Grace, number 5 right there, and Grace has had a good camp from Miramar High School. And Don, he was right on this one.
That he was. Stared down the quarterback, took a proper drop, kept his shoulders square to the line of scrimmage, and knew when the ball was released that he had an opportunity for the interception. Grace, 10 games last year, mostly involved in special teams, came out of Miramar High School, but is a highly talented guy that is working himself into the mix for the 2014 season.
Here's Crow, long ball toward the corner. Damari Jones incomplete. Damari Jones matched up, racing down the sidelines with Nate George. So that pass is incomplete. We'll continue with our coverage of the University of Miami spring scrimmage. But first, we're going to have a field goal attempt. And Gudis will attempt the field goal. Gudis last year got hot. Finished the year with 7 straight field goals, was 13 for 17 for the year.
Got a new holder in there.
Can Dallas Crawford do anything else? He might sell popcorn. Dallas Crawford is going to be the holder. This would be a 46-yard kick by Gudis, and it is no good. Gudis from that distance last year was 2 out of 5. We'll take a break and continue with our coverage of the Hurricanes spring game from Sun Life Stadium. The offense in front of the defense. Well, everybody having a good time at the University of Miami spring game. This one built to be fan-friendly, and the kids are having a ball. They're in the bounce house. Maybe future Hurricanes right there. Don Bailey Jr. as they are crawling through the obstacle course, I guess we would call that. But they're enjoying themselves here today on a glorious afternoon for University of Miami football. The offense in front, 42-29. And we are back with Kevin Olson at the controls. And Gus Edwards in the backfield. And Olson connecting with Edwards across the 40-yard line. Running hard. Collision with Denzel Perriman and Dallas Crawford.
Denzel reacting to the run extremely quick. He's
Denzel slow to get up as well.
Also Dallas Crawford in there on the huddle, on the tackle, excuse me.
Denzel Perriman last year, 6 games, 10 or more tackles. What happened here, Don?
Well, he scrapes right down there. Dallas Crawford meets him head on. You see Denzel, excuse me, coming from the side. It's like he caught a cleat in the turf.
Oh, he's up, that's good news. He's up and around. Denzel Perriman last year became more of a vocal leader. You know, he played his best games in the biggest games.
That he did. Bunch of ball games over 10+ tackles, 6 to be exact, and had that 15 tackle performance against Virginia Tech.
Big game against the Gators, 11 tackles against Florida State. By the way, Dallas Crawford is a blur. He's a blur in the secondary. And as I mentioned before, Dallas Crawford is, well, look at Denzel Perriman with Vinny Scavo, but Dallas Crawford, he defines team and unselfishness. Here's Olson to throw. A little bit of pressure and throws this one away.
And I think he wrote the book on instincts. And when a guy can go from the offensive side of the football in just less than 20 practices, get into the 2 deep and start making his presence felt at a totally different position on the opposite side. He is just an instinctive football player that understands everything about the game and his role.
His ability to pick up the defense really in the spring has been nothing short of astonishing. There's a handoff again. Gus Edwards right side and breaking through a tackle, holding on for dear life is Tracy Howard. Brings him down around the ankles. Kamalu also over there. Gus Edwards running with some force.
You know, he's listed at the same body weight that he was last year, Joe, at 235 pounds. But you see that he's redistributed that body weight, becoming more explosive. And as you watch right there, he lowers his shoulder, doesn't go down with the first tackler, keeps straining and straining for extra yards. Not only will help Miami between the 40s, but in short yardage as well.
They'll give it a go again in moving the pile. Gus Edwards on this drive has been impressive. Tyreek McCord brings him down around the ankles. Kirby there. Olsen Pierre also helping out. Denzel Perriman, the good news is he's back in the spring as Al Golden talks things over with Gus Edwards, maybe telling him, keep moving that pile. I like that idea.
Well, Al Golden is hands-on. He's going to coach you any time he can. It doesn't matter if you're on the offense or the defense. But Gus Edwards last year hit the lucky number with yards per carry. They always want the running backs to hit that 5.0. Well, he gave you 5.1 on 66 carries.
He gets a breather. Walter Tucker comes into the fray. And off a bootleg, Olsen looking to throw and fires for the sidelines, incomplete. Intended for Philip Dorsett. And Dion Bush was closing in a hurry.
At some point, you've got to slow your roll out on that bootleg. You got to settle your feet and hope that you're settling down at the same time as your wide receiver. Credit Miami's defense for pushing that play towards the sideline, which caused the disconnect between the quarterback and the receiver.
Denzel Perriman went down, but he's back in. Earlier, I guess it was last week, the University of Miami had their combine on campus, their pro day. Had all kinds of representatives, 5 from Indianapolis this year. Stephen Morris, Alan Hearn, Chantrell Henderson, Brandon Lindner, and Pat O'Donnell were all in Indianapolis. And then the pro day on campus was very important and very successful for the University of Miami. Stephen Morris, Chantrell Henderson, Pat O'Donnell, and Stephen Morris. I think he threw the ball very well.
Fairness to Stephen Morris, he was injured most of last season with an ankle and Achilles heel. And then you look at Chantrell Henderson at 300+ pounds, running a 5.0340, an outstanding time for a man that size.
54 NFL general managers, scouts, coaches, and personnel directors were in attendance. UM had 19 draft-eligible seniors participating in that day. Here's Olsen with a tight pocket and lets this one fly. Nobody's home.
He's got to get rid of that football just a little bit quicker. They were friendly with the whistle there and the sack because looks like that Kamalu was able to work himself free and put the pressure on the quarterback.
Defense picked up a point on that one, 43-30 now. We've seen Kevin Olsen use his arm, and Miami not afraid to throw the ball deep with Kevin Olsen. James Coley assembles his offense around him. We'll have more of the University of Miami spring game from Sun Life Stadium right here on ESPN. The much anticipated new uniforms were unveiled today at the Miami Spring Game. And there is one of the combinations. And that is sharp. That is the gray smoke uniform underneath on orange helmets. That is a brilliant uniform, dazzling uniforms for the University of Miami. And that is one of the combinations. You, Don Bailey Jr., would look exceptional in that smoke uniform.
I agree with you, Joe.
There's DeAndre Johnson. Some other combinations that the designers have put together. We've got the orange. Green is back into the mix. And, of course, your favorite, Stormtroopers, the white uniforms. Now, they can make any one of these matchups. It could be orange on white, white on orange. So we have, I think, 48 different combinations that the University of Miami can come up with the black spikes. Those are sharp. They are electric. They're energizing. And I would make this prediction to you. If they start winning with one combination, that's the one you wear. There's a long ball on the sidelines for Garrett Kidd. Almost a terrific play. Montombo Fentress was over there, along with Corn Elder. And Kidd got loose along the sidelines. He's earned a scholarship. He's got a chance to help this team.
And you have said it, Joe. He has earned it. Not a harder worker on this entire team. Starts stretching it down the sideline, reaches out with that right hand, and at the end of the play, it's the hit that jars the ball loose and nullifies the possible catch.
Montombo Fentress, brilliant student, and turning out to be a pretty good safety. One of the new additions to the University of Miami staff this year, kind of a new addition, old addition. Great high school football, Tim Ice Harris from Booker T. He's won the state championship 3 times, national championship this year. Ice, the USA Today National Coach of the Year, and he's back with the University of Miami. He's standing by with Josh Darrow.
All right, Ice, you are wearing the green and orange once again. Why was the time right this time again to leave Booker T and come join Al Golden's staff?
Oh, the time was it was perfect. I think it was perfect because the things that I accomplished in high school the last 3 years, I think that's some of the most awesome things that a high school coach can be able to do. Be able to go to 3 state championships, win a national championship, and have the grade of that senior class going off to college, and doing an excellent job developing an assistant coaches that's in our staff that did an excellent job. I think the time was perfect, and I'm so happy that Coach Golden gave me this opportunity to be a Cane again.
You are a name in this community. You mean a lot in this community. What will Coach Golden have you do to help the University of Miami?
The first role is play a big part of helping developing the student athletes that we have on campus, and also we're building a great relationship with the high school coaches and getting our team into the community as much as possible to show that we want to do whatever we can at University of Miami to make sure that we help our young student athletes all during the youth league time and in elementary and middle school, the concept that they can be in college one day.
Well, you coached 2 of the prize recruits in this year's recruiting class, Chad Thomas and Demetrius Jackson from Booker T. Tell the fans what they should expect.
Number one, they're going to expect a first-class young men. They're going to do a great job academically first. I think that's the most important part. And they're going to be great student athletes at the same time as well. They're going to do a great job, participating on the field and doing the thing. But they also is great young men. They're going to do a great job overall representing what we're about and what we'll bring, the type of student athletes that we're bringing in at the University of Miami.
Now, I also know for you getting into this role that you have longer-term aspirations, that you actually want to become a college coach, and Coach Golden supports that effort.
Most definitely. That's what we talked about, to make sure that I'm in position to have myself ready for when that time comes, because I have the passion. That's my niche in life, to be able to help develop young people. I'm doing it on the off-the-field setting, but I know one day that I'll be back on the field directing and doing the things that I love to do, and that's develop young people from on the field and off the field as well.
All right, Ice, thank you very much, and congratulations on everything you've done.
Thank you, and I appreciate you.
All right, Joe, back up to you.
All right, Josh, Tim Harris, very sharp, very well respected in this community, and is a very good football coach.
That he is, Joe, and first and foremost, he puts the student athlete first. He understands and is able to communicate with them the importance of going to class and gaining that degree. What he accomplished at Booker T was simply outstanding. He has 2 sons that have been involved in football as well. One of them was an All-American that ran track at Miami. The other one now is a corner with the Houston Texans of the National Football League. But he just understands what it takes to take a young man, get them in tune to what they need to succeed after they get done with football, whether it's after the high school level or the collegiate level.
All right, we've got the ones against the ones. We did see Gus Edwards break out during the interview, wrestled to the ground by Jamal Carter. That last pass by Olsen, incomplete for Walford. And we got some pretty good matchups in here right now. Malcolm Lewis and Coley are in the game. For Kevin Olsen, he'll keep it on the ground. Running left, there's good penetration. Olsen Pierre, Kamalu getting through with Denzel Perryman. Good penetration that time by the Miami defensive line. Olsen Pierre from Rahway, New Jersey a year ago at 33 tackles for Miami, including a sack, and he could help that defensive line along with big Calvin Herkelu, who is a force to be reckoned with.
That he can, Joe. He's a big, strong football player that made a nice play.
All right, we will continue from the University of Miami spring game here at Sun Life Stadium, right here on ESPN. A lot to cheer about so far at the University of Miami spring game 2014. At least for the offense, they put up 44. Defense with 34 points. As the young ones sliding in safely. It's been an interactive spring game, fan-friendly. I think they've turned out in a good number and they're enjoying themselves here today. Offense back out on the field. Gray Crow from the pocket. And he's firing incomplete. For Rashawn Scott. Cornelder had the coverage.
Yeah, it's over here.
Two good athletes right there. Cornelder, who made things happen last year during his appearances, was going to play point guard for the basketball team, but was injured. And he was matched up there with Rashawn Scott, who's had a good spring. And Rashawn Scott could really help Miami. 2 years ago, Rashawn Scott had 35 catches. And Cornelder, we look at him, could get back into that mix as well, Don, in the secondary.
You can count on it. He will be definitely involved in the return game, Joe, but also his ability to corner. He's so loose in the hips. He can turn and run. He's big enough and strong enough to work the man-on-man coverage. He's gained a couple pounds since he's got to the U and allows him to play that man defense.
Here's Crow again for the sidelines. Incomplete for Scott. Same play, same results, same matchup.
They sent Jawan Blue a little late with some pressure that forced Crow to get rid of that football.
Got a couple of those young offensive linemen in there now. McDermott, see him right there, number 52. Hunter Wells will be over the ball. Casey McDermott, one of the 4-star recruits that Al Golden brought in, an All-American. Trevor Darling is also in the game. There's one of your favorites, McDermott.
He will play, Joe. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Comes in at 6'6", 314 pounds. Every time I'm at practice and I watch him, he comes off the field and starts asking questions. Does a good job with his set. Has good hands. He learned that technique from his brother, Shane McDermott, who's a 6'4", 296-pound senior who's injured and not playing this spring. But he moves so well for somebody that is so young and so big. Usually they're a little uncoordinated when they're that large and that young, but not KC. He's game ready almost as we speak.
Defense got a 3 and out that time. They pick up a couple of points.
Another tackle from Miami that's gotten a lot of attention is Taylor Gadbois, the redshirt sophomore out of Georgia. He's had a superb spring. He's developed into a big-time finisher. He's got a mean streak to him, likes to hunt down players in the secondary, and is doing a nice job in the run blocking as well.
Got a couple of pass rushers in there now, freshman. There's a quick pass to Rashawn Scott, who gets it out toward midfield. Elder brings him down. Rashawn Scott battled injuries last year, played in only 4 games, had 3 catches for 38 yards. Big Rowan Armbruster going out. Keep our eye on some of the freshmen. Darian Owens is in the game with Trent Harris, 2 pass rushers. There's Rashawn Scott. I mentioned 2 years ago, he had 35 catches, including 3 touchdowns. Quick bubble screen for Damari Jones. He's met right away. No place for him to go. Jermaine Grace. There was a metric for positive, negative when you're on the field in football. Jermaine Grace would have a positive number by a lot, because good things happen when he's out there.
A lot of that is because he runs a 4.5 40. Anytime that you're blessed with that kind of speed, and he was a 4-star player coming out of Miramar, he's added some size. He was a little underweight when he got to the University of Miami, but now he's pushing that 210, 215-pound level. But he reacts so well to the football and has that acceleration to it, so it makes it a natural combination for him to be a success at linebacker.
There was Walter Tucker on the carry. Larry Hope had good penetration.
Go back to Walter Tucker. He is a 2-time state champion in 110 meters, but he's playing that one-back or fullback role. They actually have him listed as a fullback, but he is punishing. But he adds something to the equation that most fullbacks in college football don't have, and that is speed, because he certainly has the burst to pick up those yards after contact.
Bubble screen for Herb Waters, and they have him surrounded. He got out across midfield. Cornelder and Olsen Pierre Bring him down. Trent Harris also over there. Bubble screen is a devastating play in college football because you get the blockers out there. When you have explosive players like Waters and Coley, it's wise to use it.
The thing that Miami is going to continue to have to work on at the quarterback position with Olsen and Crow, and then the two incoming as well, is the chemistry with these wide receivers. Ryan Williams, the player who was scheduled to start for Miami quarterback, was injured a week ago, and he had chemistry with all the receivers in camp. He'd been on campus for 3 years, came in with some of these guys, and has been throwing passes to them for the last couple years. Now Olsen has got to pick up that slack as well as Crow and find the chemistry that's needed.
Amari Jones couldn't get a handle on that one. That brings us to halftime of the University of Miami spring scrimmage with the offense in front 45-36. This is the University of Miami spring game on ESPN. We're back at Sun Life Stadium. Halftime of the University of Miami spring game where the offense is in front of the defense 45-36. Offense won the one-on-one. They won the 7-on-7, but the defense getting the better of the offense in the scrimmage portion. Offense against defense. They've outscored them 12-6 so far. All eyes have been on Kevin Olsen for Al Golden. But I do think Gus Edwards did a nice job here in the first half. We saw him run hard. We saw some nice plays from Dallas Crawford as well.
It's mandatory, Joe, that Gus Edwards continues to improve. He is night and day from last year. I'll remind Hurricane fans that he did not get into camp on time. He was 2 or 3 weeks late. That was a setback. He finally got into shape, came in, had a 113-yard day against Savannah State. You mentioned, of course, how well he did against Pitt, had a 53-yard day versus South Florida. But now the key component for him is understanding what to do when he does not have the football. How does he help Miami in blitz pickup? How is he as a receiver? And then what does he do between the tackles? Is he going to be able to utilize that size at 6'2" and that weight at 235 and get the push that they need, whether it's in the four-minute offense or in short yardage?
Al Golden has just given his defense a bit of a pep talk here. The second half. Last year, the University of Miami won 9 games for the first time since 2009. Went into the Florida State game undefeated. Got off to a undefeated start. Had a huge win at North Carolina. Last second win, 27-23 over North Carolina. The Tar Heels have been really problematic for Miami. Canes lost to Virginia Tech. Dropped a tough one to Duke. Duke, of course, went on to win the division and then finished strong in the regular season with the wins over Virginia and at Pittsburgh on a frigid afternoon the day after Thanksgiving, and then went down in the bowl game, losing to Louisville. But it was the first time Miami's been in a bowl game in a couple of years, so I think all that experience, despite the result, at least they got into the bowl game. It didn't go their way, but there were a lot of things that went right for Miami getting into the bowl game.
Well, one thing that happens in the bowl games for every team that's involved, the winner or the loser, is additional practices, and you need that as a team. You go through 2-a-days, you spend time in the weight room, and it's actually the same as adding another spring practice to your season.
So we are ready for the second half here. And I think we'll see some of the younger players perhaps, but there's Tracy Howard, had a good year last year, counting on him to have a big year this year. He's taking on more of a leadership role, 4 interceptions, including 1 for a touchdown. Here's Olsen on the handoff. Gus Edwards running hard and hit hard. Harriman was there. Olsen Pierre was there. Big collision. Denzel Perryman and Olsen Pierre flying to the football.
Thurston Armbrister around the ball as well. He is a senior. He's a young man that has gotten more physical. He's gained size since he's been at the University of Miami. Came in, of course, as a safety and has been moved to linebacker. And Tracy Howard, 5-star player out of Miramar just a couple years ago, 35 tackles, led the team in interceptions with 4 last season.
Interesting defensive line here with Muhammad, Chicolo, Kamalu, and McCord. And Olsen to throw, stepping up, rifles it down the middle, and overthrows everybody. Malcolm Lewis was in the area, but so was Antonio Crawford and Dion Bush.
Mark D'Onofrio, Miami's defensive coordinator, putting the speed package in. knowing that on a 3rd and long play that the offense is likely to throw. He wants to get as much pressure on that quarterback as he can, so he lowers the body weight and increases the 40 time with that rush group.
The defense off the field, a 3 and out. We'll have more of the University of Miami spring scrimmage from Sun Life Stadium right here on ESPN. A unique experience today for the fans at the University of Miami spring game. They're right on the field. Fans are on the field today taking in the action. This would be sort of their end zone, as Miami's using about 75 yards of the field, and fans are allowed on the field behind the action watching here today. Back to the action. There's Walter Tucker, and he's met in the backfield by one of the freshmen on campus early, and that's Jawan Young from Albany, Georgia. 6'2", 240-pound freshman. He's out of that top 10 recruiting class that Al Golden put together.
For a young man that's still learning the scheme where most high school seniors are preparing for their prom, he has adjusted well, was a high school linebacker and running back, but you can see his reaction time and, more importantly, his form in tackling.
Off a play fake, Crow on the roll, throwing incomplete. Cornelder in the air, and a pass intended for Rayshon Scott. And here come the pass rushers entering the fray for the University of Miami defense. And this is an area where, as you mentioned, Mark D'Onofrio thinks they can get better. They're getting better. And they have a lot of length on that front 7. And I think that length can cause a lot of deflections. It's hard for the quarterback to throw over the top of this front 7. That
it is. They understand the pass rush lanes. Got to defend the run first, but more importantly, get some pressure on the quarterback, especially in the interior. If they can get that push between the 2 guards in the center, that's a direct lane towards the quarterback.
Now we got a flag on this play. We have Owens and Harrison as your pass rushers. Dallas Crawford, we mentioned him earlier. He's in the secondary right now as Al Golden is talking things over with the officials. There's a fine line there, right? When you're a guy like Dallas Crawford of being aggressive and then being too aggressive. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not in college football today because it's so hard to stop an offense. Let's see what the defense does right here. Crow to throw. Under pressure from Trent Harris. Gets it away to Walter Tucker, and he's hit hard from the side. Brought down by Figueroa at about the 42-yard line.
I'm looking forward to seeing Walter Tucker in the regular season. I think that he's going to give Miami production from a position that has been used the last few years really for blocking. But Walter Tucker has got excellent hands. He's got great body lean, and he runs with so much power. And the thing that sneaks up on you if you're defending Walter Tucker is the fact that he's fast. 2-time state champ in the 110 meters. He's got soft hands. He has no problem staying in and being a part of the blocking scheme and pass protection. But he is a punishing runner that can be used as a fullback and also just in one back.
It's in his genes. His dad was a national champ in the 400. I like the tackle there by Alex Figueroa. Hit him hard from the side. Figueroa is 6'3", 245 pounds. And offense is back out on the field with Kevin Olson and Gus Edwards. Olson connects with Edwards on the short side, pushed out of bounds hard by Denzel Perryman. They're not fooling around right now. Got a little intensity here.
Well, you take your best defensive player and Denzel Perryman on a full sprint into Gus Edwards. Last year, Gus Edwards gets knocked off his feet and into the bench. This year, he lowers his shoulder and takes on one of the best defenders in the ACC and keeps his feet.
Clive Walford, who missed most of the spring, is in the game. He's a wing to the right side for Kevin Olson. He's going to put it in the air again. Underneath for Walford, and it's deflected. That's what we talked about just a moment ago, that this defense could get a lot of deflections, and that was Armbrister, Thurston Armbrister from Hollywood Hills with the deflection.
Armbrister with the long arms, has a complete understanding of the defense, started his career as a safety, but what he does is he keeps his feet on his path to the quarterback. That allows him to read the throw at the right time, put his arm up in a deflection for the defense.
Situation for Kevin Olson is a 3rd and 6. Let's see what he does with a 3rd and 6 against the pass rushers. He's got his top receivers in there, Coley, Lewis, and Dorsett from the pocket. He's got Malcolm Lewis across the middle, right on the money. Shakes free from a tackle, And he's wrestled to the ground and out of bounds by Jamal Carter and Tracy Howard.
Earlier in the scrimmage today, Olsen had no problem finding Lewis. And they seem to have the best chemistry to this point between quarterback and receiver. Lewis 2 years ago had that severe injury against Georgia Tech. He has worked himself back into this rotation at receiver spot. Gives Miami nice size at 6 foot.
Deion Bush was slow to get up on the play, and he's being attended to. Bush has had himself a very good spring. He was injured last year, and Deion walks off. Looks like he's okay. He's had a good spring. There's Malcolm Lewis, and Malcolm playing completely different than what we saw from last year. His freshman year before the injury to Georgia Tech, he was coming on strong for Miami, catching a lot of throws over the middle. Gus Edwards slams this one into the line of scrimmage and is moving the pile. Gus Edwards gets inside the 25-yard line of the Miami defense. Kamalo has him around the ankles.
Well, Gus Edwards was rated the #1 fullback in America just 2 years ago, coming out of Staten Island in New York. And they've groomed him to be more of a tailback guy or a combination guy now, but he gets those shoulders lowered, and now he's making that one cut and getting upfield, planting that outside foot, making a decision and moving the pile forward.
This time he's met by Muhammad and Jamal Carter. Muhammad from the side, Carter out of the secondary. Drag him down.
Talk about big, powerful guys, Joe. Jamal Carter wears number 6 for the Hurricanes, is a physical guy that will help Miami improve at that safety position this coming season.
This is a 3rd and 1, and Gus Edwards is met by Hurtalu. Calvin Hurtalu coming in. And Hurtalu was first on the scene. Carter cleaning it up. But Calvin Hurtalu, 6'3", 310 pounds. He's been a force in the middle. He's been tough to dislodge.
Hurtalu doing exactly what he was coached to do, not get moved out of the center of this defense. He is a guy that will require 2 players to block, keeps himself square, is able to shed the blocker and make the tackle.
Little bootleg here. Olsen for Walford. Raphael Kirby first on the scene. Carter also there. And Artie Bird's also in the mix for Clive Walford. And Walford could be a guy. He's got the size, the strength, the speed, the hands to be a dominating player at tight end for Miami. 34 catches last year.
Coach Golden talks about the symmetry that he needs on a football team to be a championship caliber team. Well, he's getting it at the tight end position. Walford comes back for his senior year. Then you have Bo Sandlin and Standish Dobard. There's a lot of competition and a lot of catches to be made out of that spot.
There's Malcolm Lewis on the near sideline.
Lewis at this point leading all receivers, I believe, with the catches. Once again, the shotgun snap a little high, forces the quarterback to readjust. Lewis working the sideline, catches the ball and tries to whip his head around to gain some yards after catch.
Olsen for Walter Tucker, connecting there inside the 10. Brought down by Jermaine Grace.
These power backs, Joe, one thing that they do great, and you just saw it with Walter Tucker, is accelerate on contact. Some guys try to fold their tent and take the knee right away after that first hit. Not with Walter Tucker. He's going to put the pedal to the metal and try and gain some extra yards.
He gets it again, drags tacklers with him inside the 5. And Harriman is there, Carter is there for Miami. On the bottom of the pile, Raphael Kirby, and he'll help up Olsen Pierre, and Walter Tucker running with some force.
Low to the ground, listed at 218. He seems to play a lot bigger than that on the outside zone play. He started towards the tight end and saw the crease and made his decision and moved the chains.
Tucker carries right side, breaks a tackle, and gets into the end zone for a touchdown. Muhammad hit him, but Walter Tucker gets into the end zone for a touchdown for the offense.
Went on the side of Danny Isadora. Isadora lost for 10 games last year with an injury, came back at the end, but will be counted on heavily, possibly even as a starter for the University of Miami. Coming out of high school, was rated the number 14 offensive guard in America.
Gudis will attempt the extra point. Crawford holds it, and it is good. Gudis last year connected on all of his PATs. 57 for 57. And again, I find it interesting that Dallas Crawford is also holding on the kicks. Walter Tucker gets the offense into the end zone. We'll continue with our coverage of the University of Miami spring game as Walter Tucker takes the handoff and barrels in for 6 here on ESPN. Moon over Miami, a full moon over Miami for the University of Miami spring game. The offense gets into the end zone, and they lead the defense 55-42. I'd have a better day in South Florida here in the middle of April, and Don Bailey Jr. This one was capped off by Walter Tucker with good blocking the right side.
Well, that offensive line keeps their feet and gets the movement that's needed in that part of the field, but credit Walter Tucker with his vision. He sees the hole, cuts back, squares up, and accelerates into the end zone.
There's Kamala with another deflection on the line of scrimmage by the front 7. And again, they're long and big, and that could create some problems this year. Tough to throw over those guys, and Kamalu, 6'6", 285 pounds, got his arms up, and another deflection as Gray Crow stands in the shotgun formation, and he'll throw. Caught by Garrett Kidd, escorted out of bounds by Tyreek McCord.
Mark D'Onofrio dials up a little bit of a cross blitz, sends both of those linebackers in to pressure the quarterback.
Garrett Kidd earning himself a scholarship, good hands. Let's go downstairs now. Josh Arrow standing by with one of the injured offensive linemen that had himself a very good season a year ago. Josh?
All right, Joe and Don were just talking a little bit about the defensive line and some of the added length and strength that has been developed so far in the offseason. You go up against those guys and go, I know you're hurt, haven't had a chance, but you've been able to see how they've done. What have you seen from that group?
Well, I've seen them improve a lot this spring. Actually, Chicolo's gained a lot of weight and put on a lot of muscle mass, and so has our new person that came in, Hurtaloo. He's done a great job, and I'm very excited for our defensive line this year because they've really actually owned what they need to own, and they actually brought more force in, and with Hurtaloo in the middle, I'm very excited for this defensive line.
Now, I imagine you would have liked that last drive there, leaning on the offensive line with Walter Tucker going over the top.
Yeah, it was great. We're very excited at the offensive line group, and they did a great job, and Walter Tucker really ran it hard right there, and so we're really excited how he's been doing, how the whole offensive line's doing.
How beneficial do you think this has been for Gus Edwards with Duke and Joseph Yearby out? How beneficial has the spring been for a guy like Gus Edwards?
Oh, it's been very beneficial. Not only is he getting all the reps, is that he's also being coached by Duke Johnson himself. So, he's had a great spring, and we're very excited for him in the fall.
A couple of guys left: Brandon Linder, Chantrell Henderson, Jared Wheeler. Obviously, they graduated. You brought a couple early enrollees, and I think you know one of them, your younger brother, Casey McDermott. So you said Duke was coaching. Gus Edwards, how much coaching have you done with your younger brother?
Oh, I've done a lot of coaching, and even before he even got here, I've done a lot of coaching, and I'm very excited for him. And his birthday is next Friday, so he's doing a pretty good job for a 17-year-old right now, and I'm very excited for this coming up fall with him.
What do you think those early days at camp were like for somebody like that, being just out of high school?
Well, I can remember it like it was yesterday when I graduated early from high school and came in, and it was literally like a blur. You got to get used to the speed of college, and that first summer session is very important to add all that muscle on and catch up with everybody on that standpoint. And it's a whole another game when you come into college. He knows that, and he's starting to really adjust to it.
Rebuilding the right side of the offensive line, Danny Isadora and Taylor Gadbois is really taking some steps forward.
Yeah, we were very excited for both of them. Taylor Gadbois has had a really great spring here, and so far he's our best offensive lineman this spring coming off. And we're very excited for the right side. I'm not worried about him at all.
And the left side, Feliciano and Flowers, that's a beastly combination.
Beastly combination, and they're going to do their job, and I know that, and I'm very comfortable with all 5 guys that are in there right now, all 4, including me.
I imagine your heart goes out a little bit, to Ryan and the injury, and he's out, and that's got to be a tough deal, and a tough deal for someone that's been through a lot with him.
Yeah, it's very tough because someone who comes back home from Memphis and then waits behind Stephen Morris for a couple years, and to have his opportunity like this, it's very sad. And we're there for Ryan, and we're supporting him, and I have no doubt that he will come back, and he will come back for this season. Hopefully only a quarter of the way through, and come back and contribute for us.
All right, Shane, appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Joe, back up to the booth.
Okay, Josh, thank you. Nice young man, Shane McDermott. Brother's a big kid. Shane's going to be a good leader, has been a good leader for the University of Miami. Plays so hard.
That he does, Joe. Missed a couple games last year. Had surgery at this time at the end of last season on a shoulder, and now he's working himself back onto the playing field. Big, strong player, 6'4", 296. He's got 22 games as a starter under his belt. Has a chance to leave the University of Miami somewhere around 34, 35 starts.
Kevin Olson trying to orchestrate a drive here for the Miami offense. 45 yards away from a touchdown, backing up the throw behind his protection. And lets it go, and it's incomplete. Into tight coverage there. Intended for Philip Dorsett. Jermaine Grace and Dallas Crawford and Perriman were all in the area.
Mark D'Onofrio, Miami's defensive coordinator, drops Anthony Chickalo and Ufamba Kumalo in at defensive tackle. They're running that 4-3 look. They put those two guys who are normally defensive ends, put them inside, trying to get the push that they're looking for at that position to put pressure on the quarterback.
Defense gets a stop. When we come back, the offense has their hands on the ball one more time right here on ESPN. Twilight making its call here in South Florida. This is the ACC on ESPN. We're in South Florida and a full slate of spring games. 7 schools holding spring games this weekend. And one of the busiest guys of all is Jameis Winston, playing baseball and football. And the ACC news this year, the championship game remains in Charlotte for the next 5 years. Jameis Winston pitching and quarterbacking Florida State. We're back here with the University of Miami. Ray Crow back on the field with a bubble screen for Herb Waters, the elusive Herb Waters, trying to escape the Miami defense, trying to be a magician, and finally the play is blown dead. I think he had to run the other way.
You realized there was a barricade.
He was running for the fans.
Realized, turned around, started to do the U-turn, and said, whoa, we've got a barricade here with a bunch of Hurricane fans hanging on it. Blow that whistle.
Herb with 38 career catches for Miami, but he was running toward those fans. They were ready to catch him. They've had a good time watching from their end zone perch, so to speak.
Great idea. Give the fans a feel of what it's like on the field. Really get an understanding of how fast the game is, number one, and the size of the players.
They're right there, right behind Al Golden. They have the same view as the coach. Rowe calls for the football. Wants to unload in a hurry. It's deflected again and intercepted. Another deflection by the defensive line and an interception by Jawan Young, the freshman from Albany, Georgia. Part of that University of Miami recruiting class that was ranked 10th in the country. Jawan Young off the deflection has an interception, and that was big for Miami last year, interceptions. And they're celebrating.
That it was, Joe. The Canes had 27 takeaways overall, 18 of them, I believe, as interceptions. But heads up football by the defense, but more importantly, the defensive line has been getting their hands up all day long, deflecting those passes and creating an opportunity. Jelani Hamilton out of St. Thomas stretches out that 6'5" frame and gets a finger on it.
So the last, here in the second half, we've had 3 deflections on the defensive line. Jawan Young joining a class with Brad Kaya and Joseph Yearby and Casey McDermott and Chad Thomas as the defense celebrates there.
Paul Williams, a secondary coach for Miami, instills a lot of excitement in his group, and they certainly stress and work on those takeaways constantly in practice.
All right, we've got the ones against the ones again as Kevin Olson comes in. On a handoff counter play for Gus Edwards, and Big Gus lowers the shoulder and gets out across the 40-yard line. Hit there by King and Muhammad.
This is not the same Gus Edwards that you saw at the beginning of last season. He's trimmed down, he's in condition. He was only good for 6-8 play spurts last year, coming in as a true freshman out of Staten Island, New York, but now you see he's in shape. He understands the flow of the offense and how to time his offensive line. They pulled the backside that time. He let them get out in front, and that created the extra yards.
He got 8 yards on that carry. He'll give it a go again. Now this time struggles to get back to the line of scrimmage. The defense is there to corral him, and leading the charge, Dallas Crawford and Raphael Kirby. Linebacking crew should be much improved this year, and Kirby in there in the play with Dallas Crawford.
Well, this entire linebacking crew has taken a step up, not only a step up in size, but a step up in understanding their responsibility in the defense, and then they understand it. You can tell now that the reaction time is a half a second quicker, so they're closing the gap and getting towards the ball carrier a lot faster than they were just a year ago. And Dallas Crawford, get ready, Hurricane fans. My prediction is we will be calling his name quite a bit.
So now Kevin Olson has a 3rd down and 1, has an I formation behind him. And off a play fake and a deep drop, wants to throw it deep, probably would have been sacked. His pass is incomplete, but he was under heavy pressure from Raphael Kirby, a 6', 235-pound junior from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Tried to get it out to Philip Dorsett, but Kirby was there to interfere.
That had the makings of a sack fumble. Raphael Kirby put the periscope up, got a bead on the quarterback, and was in perfect position to hit him and jar the ball loose.
4th and 1. Edwards will give it a go again, running near side, pushed out of bounds. A sea of orange there, sea of white rather. The orange say it's a 1st down. Jamal Carter was over in the area.
Like to see him around the football. He brings enough size to the equation to make it difficult on the offense. Thurston Armbruster is going to be used at both linebackers. Multi-purpose guy, comes back with 25 games of experience. The last 2 years he has spent at linebacker for Miami.
So it's a 1st down. The offense leading the defense overall today, 58-52. Kevin Olson has made some good throws. He's had a few that have gotten away from him. There's Coach Franklin getting his defensive line organized. Olson throws, and that's caught by Malcolm Lewis, and we've seen that connection all afternoon. In case you're just joining us, you might think, oh my goodness, the defense gave up 52 points. Oh, not really. Here's how they score. Offense gets a point for a 1st down, 3 points for a field goal, 6 points for a touchdown. The defense also scores by getting a defensive stop. They get 2 points on 4th down stops. So you get points for stops. Here's Olson, long ball out there, caught inside the 20-yard line. Stacy, oh, it's intercepted. Tracy Howard intercepts it. Cut in front of Stacy Coley for an interception. Tracy Howard with a nice interception. And again, the defense is going to come out and celebrate.
Tracy Howard reading the loft of the football. He accelerated at the end of the route, Joe. Olson standing back in the pocket, throws an arc, and then they run underneath.
University of Miami defense comes up with an interception. That turnover is worth 6 points and ties up the spring game at 58. Darian Owens leads the defense back out onto the field. A freshman from Orange Park, Florida, part of this year's recruiting class, enrolled in January. He's got the size that the University of Miami needs, 6'3", 217 pounds. A werewolf on wheels coming off the edge. Here's Walter Tucker driving it over the right side. And following behind Feliciano. Jermaine Grace is in there with Tombu Petrus. Walter Tucker running hard.
Tucker knows who to follow. Jonathan Feliciano, a 6'5", 320-pound senior. All ACC honorable mention last year. Is in line to be nominated for the Outland Trophy this year. Big physical player.
Hunter Wells over the ball. He's in the game at center. Olson connects with Tucker, shedding tacklers across midfield. And Walter Tucker himself a nice scrimmage here.
That offensive line coached by Art Kehoe, former University of Miami player. As you see, they just seal off the backside, get in front of everybody, eliminate the cutback on defense, but also that offensive line gets the movement. You can see Feliciano throwing the cutback downfield. Tucker just one one arm tackle away from breaking it loose.
He picked up 10 yards and a first down, and Tucker gets the call again, and is brought down in the backfield by Fentress. Denzel Perriman has been leading the charge here today for Miami, unofficially with 8 tackles, and Denzel Perriman is downstairs with Josh Shea.
All right, Denzel, we opened this about your return to this team. You had a decision to make. You decided to return. Just maybe walk us through that decision from your perspective.
I mean, pretty much, just throughout the season, I said, I want to get through the season because, coming in the season, a lot of people had a lot of questions like, oh, this is last year, are you going to come back? So, my main focus, during the season was just get through the season, just, eliminate, all the questions, just ignore it all. But at the end of the season, I sat down with Coach Barrow, Coach Golden, Coach D, and my family, actually, just really, sat down, broke down, how my season went with the coaches, and, as far as my family aspect, I just pretty much did, what's best for me and my family.
Speaking of family, your family has gotten bigger. You're now a father. How is that?
I mean, it's great, man. I could be having a bad day, at school, come home, once my little daughter, she sees me, she smiles, and that pretty much brighten up the day. I mean, honestly, it's the best feeling in the world.
And the great thing about it is you told me she's sleeping at 5 months old. That's a blessing.
Yeah, I mean, we put her to bed at 10:30, 11. She's sleeping, till next morning at 10, 11.
Let's walk us through today's work. I think unofficially 8 tackles. What'd you like from your first team defense?
First team defense, I told the guys, pretty much on the ride over. The offense, they don't score. We don't allow no points, no nothing. So, guys, they pretty much took in the message, and we all went out there and executed.
I talked with Tracy Howard during the spring. He said effort was really never much of a question with the defense, but now you guys are playing smarter. Would you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we all gave maximum effort last year. Coach D asked me all the time. I was just telling him, he asked me what the problem was, and I say, I think, guys, just, freelance, not just doing their job. And, it's actually showing, this spring, like you say, guys playing smarter.
Who are some of the new faces, let's say, or maybe guys that will be taking on some new roles this year that you're excited about?
I mean, pretty much like I told in the interview I had the other day. Like the whole defense, has stepped. The whole defense, has pretty much stepped up. New guys coming in. Like everybody's gonna get some time. I'll put it to you that way.
Raphael Kirby will be playing next to you. He'll get. He's played before, but go up. You want to go? You need to go? All right. Denzel Perriman's get called into action, so we will send it back to you, Joe.
All righty, very good. Well, can't play without him. Olsen rolling on first down to Stacey Coley. Denzel Perriman, first team All-ACC last year with 108 tackles.
He's going to leave the University of Miami with a chance to be well into 300 total tackles. It's a number to be proud of.
There's already Burns. Now Olsen gives it away to Gus Edwards. Tries to slither through the hole, picks up a couple of yards, hit by Figueroa.
Figueroa stays at home, honors his read, is able to come around and stop the ball carrier. And then you go to Artie Burns, Joe, 11 games last year, 17 tackles, but he got quality playing time. And now you're starting to see him transform himself from a track athlete that he was just a month ago, and now he's had some practices and getting back into the groove at that corner spot for Miami.
Ran the 60-meter high hurdles in 7.68 seconds. There's Gus Edwards. The right side, hit by Carter, breaks that tackle, lunges forward, drags Earl Moore with him. Chicolo also in the area. Over 100 yards on the ground now for the offense, mainly by Gus Edwards and Walter Tucker. Last year, the Miami offense on the ground averaged 160 yards. That number came down after the injury to Duke Johnson. They were 73rd in the country rushing the football. Now from the 41-yard line, Olsen with a deep drop and has pressure and throws it away. Armbruster broke through and was staring eyeball to eyeball with Kevin Olsen.
Defense has applied some pressure, gotten their hands up, got some deflections, have got some interceptions, made some tackles behind the line of scrimmage. Very active out of a group that has not done a whole lot of blitzing, has not showed a whole lot. Vanilla has been the word of the day on defense.
Olsen will go to the air with this one. Puts it up underneath and incomplete. Trying to get it across to Ronnie Regula, dragging it across. Antonio Crawford in the vicinity. It's a 3rd down and 10 now for the Olsen-directed offense. Offense with a 1-point lead over the defense, but the defense getting those points off of turnovers like basketball.
It's something that has to be worked on. You do not want to have giveaways at the quarterback position. Rather have throwaways.
3rd down and 10 for Kevin Olsen. High shotgun snap. Inside handoff for Andrews. Oh, hello. Denzel Perriman off the sideline interview with Josh Darrow. He lowers the boom.
Boy, he has made some solo shots in his career. He deciphered that one right out and put a beat on him and let it go.
Denzel Perriman with an exclamation point there with a big hit.
They get the double team on Chicolo, and he just converges on the ball carrier. Gus Edwards at 235 pounds has both sets of cleats lifted up, and he's thrown down to the ground.
That would hurt your molars.
Might just eliminate them.
Miami's going to try a field goal now. The offense has Gudis on the field. This would be a 50-yard field goal for Gudis with Dallas Crawford holding. His longest last year was 49 yards. This one would be from 50 out of the hold of Dallas Crawford. It's on the way, but it's not looking good, and it's wide left. That one didn't stand a chance.
Looks like he had some distance, but not the accuracy.
Gudis misses the field goal, and the offense has a 1-point lead over the defense, and we're coming to a conclusion. We go to break on the big hit by Denzel Perriman. Hello, Gus Edwards. We are back at Sun Life Stadium, where the defense, with their last stand, wins it 61-60 over the offense, because the missed kick is worth 2 points to the defense, and the defense wins the spring scrimmage 2014. I think they should have given it to the defense at the end with the Denzel Perriman hit. Al Golden had his team assembled. Denzel Perriman is in the middle of the action right now, and that concludes spring football for the University of Miami. What did they accomplish here?
Well, you saw some players come through today. Walter Tucker, one of them, at the running back spot. On the defensive side of the football, Dallas Crawford looks like he has adjusted extremely well to that position as safety after transferring from the running back position. Tracy Howard came up with an interception. Artie Burns back into the mix after spending the first part of spring practice when he was running track.
All right, let's take a look at some of the highlights from this afternoon's scrimmage. Here's Gray Crow underneath for Walter Tucker, and a big hit by Figueroa. Then Kevin Olsen gets into the mix here, Don, with his favorite target, Malcolm Lewis.
Yes, they seem to have everything working in their favor. Olsen to Lewis all day has been very, very successful.
Walter Tucker also got a good opportunity today, barreling into the end zone, gave the offense a touchdown.
Really like that Walter Tucker, Joey. He's just got great acceleration.
Throw intercepted by Jawan Young off a deflection. There were 3 interceptions today by the defense. And here's another one of them, Tracy Howard cutting underneath of Stacy Coley for the interception. Gus Edwards running hard, but then he got belted to the ground by the speedy, hard-hitting Denzel Perriman.
Well, that'll make you happy if you're a Hurricane fan to see that number 52 came back, and what a play he made to end up his final spring as a Hurricane.
All right, let's wrap things up on the field with University of Miami head coach Al Golden.
All right, Coach. The spotlight, obviously, the quarterback position. I know you said during the week for Kevin Olsen it was time for him to prove it to himself and just not think too much out there. Did you see that from him?
I think we made progress. It was his first opportunity, really. I think the biggest thing overall is we had a really good spring. We stayed healthy today, which was tremendous. And we got to look at a lot of different guys and just base stuff. You know, we didn't try to fool anybody today. We didn't want to show too much. Just basic fundamentals and see who can play. And I think we learned a lot about our team today.
Offensively, it looked like Malcolm Lewis really showed up today.
Malcolm's been doing that all spring. I was pleasantly surprised, by Malcolm. Obviously, Gus and Tuck did a good job today. You know, we got to get a little bit, more finite on our reads. I think we messed up a couple of reads a couple of times, but overall, good effort on that side of the ball. Fought really physical on the defensive side. So I think we learned a lot about our team today.
Well, certainly at the end there, Denzel Perryman gave you something that, if you're going to classify physicality, he gave you a nice hit there to wrap things up.
No, there was some good hitting. You know, Juwan Young had a couple. I know Fig had one. Denzel had one. Jamal Carter had one. So, again, we're starting to see that in practice, Josh, and that's the biggest thing. We're starting to club, have a base, bring their feet in practice, and it's starting to show up here, you know, obviously in the game setting.
I know yin yang of this, but you got a couple turnovers, right? A couple interceptions, which means that's good news, bad news scenario. But at least from the defensive point of view, you're creating some turnovers.
Yeah, it's you know, again, they were going back and forth, so that's all I care about. We didn't really work goal line or red zone as much, but again, I just wanted to make sure we were crisp, playing at a high tempo, and then really stay healthy and get out of here and see where we're at on Monday. Start to think about preseason camp and what the team's going to look, especially when we add some guys in May, and then we'll go from there.
Great day, not only showcase on the field, but just the program and Sun Life, and of course the uniforms. The new unveiling was a part of that.
Again, I was running around before the game, but I hope our fans enjoyed it because I thought it was a great setup. I really did. You know, not just the new uniforms, but the fan zone over here, just the interaction that occurred with our players. You know, just. You know, all the kid-friendly things. So, again, I thought it was a great day. And, again, we're just blessed right now to be healthy coming out of here.
All right, Coach, thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, Josh.
All right, Joe, back up to you.
Okay, Josh, thank you very much. Thanks to University of Miami head coach Al Golden. Well, when they come back in August, it gets started early on, Don Bailey. Miami opens up on Labor Day night against Louisville. They got a bunch of games in the first 27 days. Louisville, FAMU, Arkansas State, Nebraska, at Nebraska, Duke, and Georgia Tech. They're going to have to be ready and good early.
That they will, Joe. They got to get the quarterback position squared away, especially week one. You've got Louisville on a Monday night football game, but it gets hot and heavy in the second half of the schedule as well.
Yep, Virginia Tech on a Thursday night, North Carolina and Florida State all in a row before finishing up at Virginia, and then here against Pittsburgh on Thanksgiving weekend. That three-game stretch of Virginia Tech, North Carolina, and Florida State could tell the tale.
That it could. Happy for Hurricane fans, and Florida State will make their way down to the stadium here in South Florida. Miami had them on the road last year. That always is a big game.
All right, so spring football has been concluded for the University of Miami. When they come out in September, they'll have a new look. They'll be wearing one of those combinations. Those are the new uniforms. The defense wins today, late 61-60. Spring football is wrapped up. Thanks so much for joining us. For Don Bailey Jr. and Josh Jarrell on the sidelines, I'm Joe Zagacki. Thanks for being with us, and so long, everyone.